Girl, only a little girl. The months flew by at a breakneck speed. Tristan refused to admit it, but his young protege was growing up. He wanted to ignore the fact, turn a blind eye, but the inseparable passage of time had already started to do its work. Amber was going through this strange crisis. That evening, she was particularly angry and proclaimed vigorously, "I don't want to be a child anymore." How so? "I want to be older." "But you have plenty of time for this, Amber." "I want to be older faster. That way I can do more things. Like drive cars and do taxes." The 30-year-old man sighed. He obviously did not know how to answer such assertions. He had never had a child, and he was not very good at calming down revolts regardless. Taken aback, he left the girl to sulk in the living room to take a long, relaxing shower. While he was soothing his worries in the rush hot water, she displayed an angry pout. "That's not fair. I wish I could be older right now. If only I had a model? I wonder what Tristan's wife looked like, for example. I'm sure she was a kind person. But he never wants to talk about it. He avoids the subject. It could be that he's hiding something from me." Intrigued, Amber took advantage of his absence to open a drawer she had never touched before. Inside, under the telephone directory, was a big leather notebook. Convinced she had found a treasure, she grabbed it and opened it. It was a photo album. Spread on the pages were bright smiles and tender gestures. Browsing through the pictures, the little girl discovered her guardian, young and dashing, in the arms of a coquettish young lady. Dressed soberly and tastefully, she was strolling along the seashore with the... Oh my god. Say that 3 times fast. Seashore with a shawl on her shoulders! Or in a park holding an ice cream. But what caught her eye was a very specific picture that towered in the center of the album. Tristan, wearing a suit, was leading his lover out of a church with clumsy footsteps under a shower of flower petals. She looked so happy, so fulfilled, in her large, refined white dress that Amber was stupefied. All the more so as the bride looked exactly like her. What? "She's so pretty." "What are you looking at?" Tristan's sudden appearance made her jump so much that she dropped the forbidden object. The 30-year-old man's gaze darkened immediately. "You searched through the closet to see what my life looked like, didn't you?" She answered in a shaky voice, guiltily. "Yes. Are you going to scold me?" "Of course not. Just preferred you didn't see that." "Why? Why don't you ever talk about her? I want to know." He sighed, appearing upset as he looked into those begging eyes that he'd never seen before or able to resist for long. Reluctantly, he sat down on the couch and told her how he had met the one he thought would be the love of his life, and related all that they had gone through together. Amber listened with wide-eyed attention. She liked that story very much. Tristan seemed to briefly get younger as he evoked the past, describing how head over heels he had been for her and how happy she had made him. Their peaceful and ordinary everyday life was something the little girl envied. Caught up in the tale, she couldn't help but pressure him. And then? What happened?" Until the light shining in the man's green eyes brutally vanished. And then she left. "Where to?" "Far away to a place where I can't reach her anymore. Every day I pray she'll somehow hear me, that she'll wake up, that she'll remember me." "Is she in a coma?" "I don't know if she'll ever emerge from that dream that's keeping her captive." "Is she dead?" "Sometimes it feels like it, but no, she's alive, just in a different world from mine. If I could have joined her, I would have. I would have sacrificed everything for her. And today she's forgot me forever." "That's sad." Tristan sighed again, head down, as a heavy, crushing silence came between them. Amber stared at the photo, bewitched by the woman's smile. Deep down in her heart, she had an odd sight.
If I was older, I could replace Tristan's wife and he wouldn't be sad anymore.
That night, she left a devastated Tristan lying as immobile as a statue on the sofa. Slipping between the covers of her cozy bed sheets, she felt helpless. If only I was older. The thought took root more and more violently in her mind to the point where it became an emergency. She had to become Tristan Mallory's wife. A new routine seized little Amber. It was now out of the question for her to stay a little girl. She wanted to grow up as prematurely as a butterfly, a beauty cursed by its ephemeral life. Thus began a kind of adolescence. She no longer woke up in the morning when the 30-year-old went to work. She waited until midday to surface and took her meal at that time. Tristan did not call her at the usual hour anymore. He knew that she would not be in the mood. After a brief meal, the young girl watched television while leafing through magazines bought with the pocket money her benefactor gave her. Her afternoon fluctuated between American TV shows and beauty tips. Between the pages of the magazines, she learned how to become pretty to seduce men. A lead motive she liked a lot. She wanted Tristan to look at her, to take an interest in her in a different way. To be seen as a woman, she had to act as a woman. But she absolutely didn't know how to do this. These magazines, which were overflowing with tips of all kinds, seemed like an El Dorado to her. Through the article, she learned how to act, how to become a true lady. It wasn't very complicated. She only had to keep a close watch on all of her gestures, to control her every movement permanently so as to convey the best image possible. She had to track down all human weaknesses, every inconvenience, and walk with a relaxed and self-assured air, but not too much or she would crush. Amber nodded as she was reading what the editor wrote. What is she reading? Of course, she had to be open and smiling, but not so much as she could come across as exuberant. She had to laugh often, but not too loudly, as it was what her strikes would do. She had to be independent and take initiative, but only if the situation lends itself to it and in a non-threatening way. She had to show herself to be as natural as possible while enhancing all of her advantages with a note of makeup. Amber understood the necessity of buying some in order to become a true woman. She had to dress up in a feminine way to demonstrate her worth while being sober enough so as not to attract unwanted attention. The fuck is this girl learning? And then she was advised to learn to listen to men, not talk too much, which would be selfish, but be discreet, present, available as soon as he would need it. Oh my god, this is sort of out of date with today's times. As she turned page after page, the young girl felt the pressing urge to spend money on all the products shown in the advertisements and praised by the editors. After all, she would need them in order to seduce the brave Tristan. How could she have the slightest chance without cheating a little? Further down, the revealing psychological tests claimed that Amber would gain more affection by acting like a fragile little girl. Men needed to be reassured that the virility of their protector's role. Plus, she herself was too vulnerable, too frail. She couldn't manage to do anything worthy without some help. She had to find validation in his eyes, a validation of her very existence.
If he thinks I'm pretty, I'll be pretty, like on that photograph.
Like this, Amber spent her afternoons reading tips from women's magazines, training herself to conceal. When she wasn't watching series, often romantic ones, she was shopping in the city to bring back clothes, accessories, or cosmetics. The city, like television, constantly spat images of absolute and infinite love, of a perfect and purifying love, like a drug, an obligation, a flawless pleasure, and an order. Every billboard sold the same dream, oh so cliche, oh so desirable. It was the pursuit of the fairy tale formula, and they lived happily ever after in opulence and had lots of children. Novels and movies, heroines all ran after the same goal, ran after the lure of profit, wealth, luxury, a life where everything would be easy, but where everything would have lost its taste, a dull and a hollow life, an eternal masquerade. But this existential emptiness was just as easy to fill. You only had to consume and be consumed. You only needed to devote your soul to spend even more, to remove the vestiges of nature, to hide that ridiculous body, too personal, too imperfect, too real, and to replace it with an ethereal sheath, a mirage. You only need to spend... What kind of game is this? You only needed to spend without restraint in order to conquer the piggy bank of your dreams, a mere machine that give banknotes and weak orgasms, to present yourself like diamond, a beautiful shiny trinket that everyone should have in their living room. You only need to destroy your own value, immaterial, and replace it with cold hard cash. And then you only needed to bask in idleness, go around in circles in your cage, without any purpose, to continue living in a dignified way, wandering like a lost soul, disguised as the clown that drips with red, a grim automaton. You need to fill the hole, the absence of life, the disease that devours your blood, all of your authenticity with money, always more money. Buy until you forget the unease, the angst. Amber admired today's celebrities, those picture-perfect idols on which nothing stuck out, the bodies that exuded not even the slightest trace of life, those uninspired songs that only glorified a permanent state of pleasure without toil. Like massively produced Barbie dolls, clones by dozens, all those celebrities merged into a single canon of beauty, deemed as unsurpassable, absolute truth. The stars dived into this endless cycle of vanity with such ease that it was truly fascinating. Guys, this is a game on Steam. Albeit it was for free, but still, this is supposed to be a game. Even it has all these settings like a visual novel should have, but it has no choices! It's been 40 minutes! Every minute that passes after a singer's first success was a minute intense scrutiny as the world glued its eyes to the more of a show that was her slow suffocation or her imminent drowning. Nothing could be more enjoyable, more exquisite than staring at those young women slowly being engulfed by the shadowy tentacles of their dreams. They had to sacrifice their bodies to the cuts of plastic surgery scalpels to the point of no longer resembling themselves anymore, to the point of transporting into some sort of wonderful monster. They had to reject their personalities and histories to melt into the mold, conform themselves to the public's every expectation, to become the showcase of modernity? Modernity? Is that a word? The icons of this single form of happiness that was advertised at every street's corner. A form of happiness that little Amber stared hungrily at. Becoming a star oh my god, alright. When Tristan Mallory came to his home on a working day, he found Amber waiting hand and foot, trying to cook delicious meals for him. Amber, always elegant, craving to look her best, like a little perfect housewife with a strong character. He was past the point of missing the innocent days, but in all honesty, he didn't even understand why the little girl was putting so much effort into becoming a perfect creature. One evening, while he was cooking as a usual dish, for which the recipe was recommended on TV, accompanied by a candlelit table in order to celebrate his birthday, he dared to ask, Amber, what are you doing? Why are you doing all this to me? The honest question hit like a ton of bricks. The complete incomprehension it sounded like an insult. She probably spent hours gussing up in the bathroom, hours to appear fit to be seen, fresh as she probably spent hours tidying the house, cleaning every nook and cranny until it was spotless. She probably spent hours decorating, hours taking care of the godforsaken roast, laboriously cutting vegetables, and he was asking why she was trying so hard. The knife in her hands fell violently to the floor, emitting a metallic sound that was very much like an ill omen.
Why am I doing this? Why am I doing this?
Amber's voice trembled dangerously while getting close. He noticed her hands were shaking frenetically. Eyes wide open, stoked in tears, she exploded.
Because I want you to love me! I want you to look at me! Why don't you ever look at me? Am I not good enough? Is that it? I'll be never as good enough as she was, will I?
She? But... Amber, who are you talking about? Dumbfounded, Tristan held her in his arms as tightly as he could. No, he truly couldn't understand. He couldn't understand such sudden and intense sobs. Reassured by his gesture, Amber wanted to explain herself.
I'm sorry, I'll never be able to replace her.
Who are you trying to replace, Amber? Tell me.
Your wife. I can see that her departure left you very sad. I wanted to bring that smile back to your face. I wanted to take her place so you'd forget about her.
For a split second, Tristan was breathless. It was surreal. He would have pinched himself to make sure he wasn't dreaming, but no, the pain in his chest was too real. Far too real. Too pitifully carved in him. How could he answer such a declaration? How could he find the right words? Catching his breath with difficulty, the 30-year-old man took Amber by the shoulders and looked her in the eyes for a long time. After a brief sigh, he affirmed, "Listen, I will never be able to forget my wife, alright? It's impossible. But that doesn't mean I don't want you. It's the exact opposite, actually. You're very dear to me, Amber. You hear me? I need you. You already have her place. So please stop crying. Don't make it even harder than it is." The young girl shyly dried her tears, and her features changed to an adorably naive expression. She looked sincerely despaired.
You're okay with me?
What made you think I'd abandon you, huh?
Nothing, it's just that you seem to love her very much. I'm a bit jealous.
Why is that?
I don't know. When I look at those pictures, I can't help but tell myself I must absolutely make you happy. I think I love you.
Tristan felt all the courage and determination he had worked up melting away overnight, and he started sobbing as well. But I love you too. I loved you for so long. I love you so much it makes me sick. What? What? What do you mean? No!